Hello everybody and welcome to Civ House. I'm Rob. Today we're going to be going over update 1.2.4 for Civilization 7, and I'm excited about it because hey, it's a new update. Even if it's maybe not going to be what all of us were hoping for, we are still making progress. The game is getting better, and I hope that you guys will continue to join us here at Civ House by liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on any of the great Civilization content we have coming out here. Let me know in the comment section below your opinion on what's coming out here. There's a lot of things that I have some opinions on. I think that like I said, they're making progress, but I really think that this is a very minor patch, to be completely honest. So let's hop into it though. We'll talk about that now. They have already told us, we did a video on this yesterday about improving age transitions, they're rebalancing wonders, they're adding some quality of life touches as well. They're tidying up different things. I think this is to get ready for the next big thing that'll be coming later. But they are letting us know, they aim to maintain backwards compatibility for existing saves, such as much as possible. Some new abilities or effects may not appear until you start a new game or advance to the next age in your current game. That would make sense, let's be honest. For the best experience, we recommend starting a new game or continuing your current game into the next age, which is basically like starting a new game. That's what they are essentially confirming for us there. If you encounter any new issues, try disabling mods. Yeah, there are a lot of mods out there. I haven't done a mods video in a while. May need to do one of those soon. And then, are you playing on Steam and want to finish your current save under a previous version? You can do so using our Legacy Steam beta branch. So that's something that where you click on, I think you right click on the game and then you go to, is it properties? Might be properties, something like that, or manage. I can't remember. Either way, you do that and then you'll have like different branches that you can pick of the beta, or well, it's not a beta, but under the beta tab, I believe it is. And that will allow you to see, everything that you need to do. But let's get into it here. Wonder balance. This is the first one. Wonders have always been a topic of fond discussion in the community. We love seeing your wonder tier lists and debating the merits of each wonder's ability against their unlock and placement conditions. These make it fun for us to approach wonder rebalancing and try to address the points made by fans. In update 1.2.4, we've made a round of adjustments to wonders in every age. We've moved the unlock location for wonders around for better timing, like Erdene Zoo being available earlier, or to avoid overlapping, like separating Colossus and Monk's Mound from being in the same civic branch. We've expanded placement conditions, like relaxing the desert restriction for the pyramids and adding grassland mountains to Machu Picchu. When a wonder is a clear must-pick every game, it's time for a nerf. So we've reduced the strength of Gate of All Nations, which is a bummer because that was a great one. I'm not a huge wonder person. I don't play for a lot of wonders. I do think that they're great, but they are definitely an afterthought for me. They are not the primary thought for me when I'm playing any Civ game ever. But I did like Gate of All Nations and House of Wisdom, both very good. We've also buffed the effects of many, many wonders to make them feel better and bring them into a more playable space. Check out the wonders that enhance terrain like Petra. We've addressed the fact that building over the enhanced terrain removes the wonder's effects. The full list of changes are in the notes below. So this is the big one. Basically, all of this stuff is what we're going to go over. It's actually a pretty small patch compared to normal. As always, when we walk through these, I hope you guys are buckled up and ready. I'm going to try to get my thoughts on them as much as possible. I may skip some here and there, but we'll see. Alright, so community-influenced item made several improvements to advisor warnings, including trailing in technology and trailing in civic warnings no longer occur at difficulty levels of sovereign and above. Yay, yeah, because guess what? We understand that we are. I said this on every single game that I play. I'm like, yes, I know I'm trailing in technology. That's kind of the point. That's the way I am playing this playthrough right now. I'm not going super for tech, so I love that. Thank you for getting rid of that. Made updates to competing wonder warning, including warnings now appear in all ages, not just antiquity. I guess I had not noticed that. That's actually a nice change. Clicking Take Me There moves you to the other player's copy of the wonder if possible. and then added new advisor warning, codex with a potential home but not assigned one. That's very helpful. I have often forgotten that. This is a variant of the existing warning of codex with no home. Again, it's good. These are nice little changes. Age transition improvements. Now, they talked about in the video, there are going to be much bigger ones. This is just a small one. It's the alliances. It's the golden influence carrying over. They are aware of balance concerns around the continuity setting and are looking into changes across the game that can be made to help smooth out the experience for players. So, look, this may be one of the biggest sentences right here in all of these notes for a lot of you. A lot of you want Civ Classic or, whatever you guys are saying. And I don't mean whatever in a bad way. I just don't remember all the different words that you guys have used for this. They are very much aware of your desire to basically have one completely cohesive game. I kind of want that too, just not in the same sense that you guys do. But they are noting this. They are aware of it. This continues to be that kind of slow transition, funny enough, to making age transitions feel less abrupt, is the word that I will say. I really fully believe that there is going to be something very big, in terms of age transitions coming out here very, very soon. I think as soon as October. So lock in, get ready, play your Civ games, enjoy them, to the best of your ability. But I do think the game is coming up to a very major point of change soon. I think age transitions, they keep talking about it. I know that they are workshopping it in the back. This is good. That was a very good note there for them to put there for us. All right, AI. Trade with AI no longer fails due to assigning a resource it thought it could. That's very nice. AI now focuses more on transitioning independence into city-states. That is something that I have been wanting for a while. It has felt like most of the AIs don't either care about independence or don't really care about city-states, other than the fact that, they are impeding on their territory. This is a very nice change. I like that. Okay, AI now has more reasonable logic in the peace deal menu. That needs to continue. Diplomacy still needs a complete overhaul, in my opinion, but hey, it is what it is. Higher difficulty AI no longer builds a functional duplicate wall on the same tile when the AI captures another settlement. Don't really remember anything on that. AI leaders no longer accept an alliance if they will have to break it immediately, such as being at war with one of their allies. That is going to make kind of the web of alliances tricky, but I like this. Again, between this, the continuity, and the alliances stuff, I putting this out there as well, I think a diplomacy update will be coming. I think age transitions, diplomacy, and religion. Those are my big three that I think are getting big changes coming up here soon, at least if I had to guess. Independent power AI no longer fails to move their units until provoked. Yeah, they got to be on the attack too, or at least, moving into position. AI players now aggressively pursue final victory projects and wonders after completing legacy paths. That's great. You're kind of giving them their order of operations. This one makes sense. AI will now properly favor coastal tiles when available when navigating the ocean to avoid ship damage. I can't say I've seen that, but I'm sure that they were just kind of going towards something. Again, it's making them make better decisions, which I'm good with. More age transition stuff. Spain is now properly unlocked with Lafayette when transitioning to exploration age. Who's even playing without all the civs unlocked anymore anyways? Sorry for those of you who are. I think it's great. It makes it more challenging for sure, but Mongolia is now properly unlocked after age transition when playing as one of Mongolia's recommended leaders. Good. Right to Rule DLC during Advanced Start, Genghis Khan no longer receives policies from the Han and Ming civs as they are not recommended civilizations. Okay. I don't know if I had done a playthrough with the Han or Ming for Genghis Khan yet, but alright, I guess that's good. Camera improvements, they talked about this. Edge panning, controllers feel a lot better. Good stuff on that one. Diplomacy, Civilopedia, to perfect that war weariness effect, does not stack happiness penalty when engaging in multiple wars. That's good to know. Everybody's just miserable at the same time, depending on whatever war's going on, although I feel like it'd be more stressful to be in more wars. I don't know. Independent powers are now only able to pillage a tile within the range of a unit that has no enemy units, and the defense is fully damaged. Okay. Were they able to do something about that before? I don't really remember that. And then, leaders now receive the correct amount of war support when a surprise war is declared. Well, that is pretty significant. Again, I'm not that detail-oriented, so I missed some of those things. That's definitely one of them. The Brihadiz War Temple no longer fails to provide happiness bonus when the player builds a building near a navigable river in the modern age. Tiles no longer lose their happiness yield from appeal when placing a rural improvement on them. That feels like something that should have changed pretty much at the very start. That's important. And then the blacksmith building moved to the military tech tree, or training tech. Okay, so cool. So they are moving stuff around, tech trees and everything, which I think is good. Military players will no longer need to choose a target when clicking the defensive perimeter button in the commander lens. That's good. Units that use a range attack during focus fire will no longer have movement queued to the target tile on their next turn. I can't say that I've noticed that, but that is, if you were having that issue, that's definitely obnoxious. Why am I not remembering that? I don't use focus fire very often. I do like to make my own attacks, but okay. Units that are in the process of reinforcing a commander when the age transition occurs now immediately complete their reinforce action. That is good. And the units of defeated players are now completely cleared and are not allowed to spawn after the transition. Again, very good. The Zeal command promotion now states that the 5% bonus does not apply to happiness yields. Commanders now receive the respective abilities after completing the shipbuilding and cartography technologies when the commanders are respawning. Oh! I don't lose commanders very often, but that is pretty significant. Okay, automated exploration can be now used on a scout is within the range of a ruin during modern gameplay. Okay. Heroic, I don't use automated exploration. Sorry. The heroic assault ability now properly deals 50 damage to hostile units when using the ability with a normal army command. Army commanders, geez, a lot of stuff. Scorched Earth will no longer be available when there is nothing to pillage. That would seem smart. In multiplayer games, the scout unit sight will no longer be lost when using the lookout ability when the turn progress changes to please wait, and it still has a movement. That seems like an unfun bug, not one that I've dealt with. Hybrid infantry units with ranged attack no longer receive damage when army commanders use focus fire ability. Okay. Again, these seem like things that I just didn't run into. Okay, but Overrun can no longer bypass cliff movement restrictions when using an army commander without the mobility promotion. Man, that would have been cool, though. You know, like, they're charging down the cliff. Overrunning it would have been... It would make sense to me, but okay. I guess maybe in game it just doesn't feel as well. Ranged units can no longer attack an invalid target when an army commander uses the focus fire ability. A lot of focus fire stuff. Maybe they're just trying to get us to use it more. I don't know. Maybe you guys do use it a lot more than me. Address a rare report issue where a previously defeated unmet leader could reappear after an age transition, triggering repeated burst meet interactions and blocking progress. I wouldn't hate it if a leader came back. I think that would actually be really interesting. They kind of start over with like one city. You get into the modern age. That'd be a crazy way to try to come back and win, actually. Just saying. Okay, miscellaneous. Shipbuilding tech now mentions that support and civilian units can safely travel across the ocean terrain without taking damage. Reduce spam of countdown messages, which now appears only when the player enters the next turn. The confirm the reset pop-up now properly appears when selecting the reset button in the advanced options menu, and age unlock information is no longer missing from some leaders when creating a new game. Cool. Okay, religion and ideology, and then we finally get to the wonders. Added icons on the leader ribbon that appear after founding a religion in exploration or joining an ideology in modern. Okay, that's cool. The ideology icons for other leaders now appear green or red to indicate whether they share your ideology. That is nice. Being able to just see that naturally in the modern age actually will be very helpful. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Dev note, this should make it easier to see which leaders have joined each ideology, an important factor when choosing an ideology or deciding which leaders to target for settlements to progress towards the ideology legacy path in Modern. Absolutely. That was my very first thought. So thank you, Dev notes. Religion icons will reflect your religion's chosen icon and name, including custom name. Very cool. Glad that they did that. Love that. Now we are on to Wonder Balance. Let me see. Very long. Then we've got a couple little small things here. And, yeah, I guess this will kind of be the bulk of it. So, Wonder Balance. Antiquity Age Wonders. The Birsa moved to the engineering tree. We already knew that. The Colossus changed costs from that higher production, lower production. It's a nice buff for this. And it's moved to currency tech. Like it said, you know, then we don't have to deal with it. And Monk's Mound kind of at the same time, which I like. Sharukin. Gosh, brain. Added +1 science to fortifications in this settlement. I think that's really strong. Very, very good. This thing is going to be, I think, potentially overpowered. Might be a go-to wonder. Increased combat bonus from +3 to +5. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the science bonus, and that is going to make it very good for certain leaders, civ combos. Yeah, might be very, very, very strong. Like, I think Trung Truck should kind of just go for this one, like, every time. But I digress. Emil Bell added base yield of 2 influence. That's always nice. Changed the Ginseg agreement from affecting only capitals to both players' capitals. Okay. Ginseg agreement, agreement now increases relationship more. 10 for accept and 25 for support. Okay. And then change the cost, so there's some balancing there. Moved it to the civic tree as well. Or citizenship, civic, excuse me. Gate of All Nations added a base yield of 2 happiness, decreases war support from 2 to 1. That's really not that big of a nerf. I mean, it is, but it's not terrible. The +2 happiness kind of evens it out. Not too bad. They just moved power into a different area, right? The Great Steely added base yield of +2 production. That's very good. Changed the effect to apply to wonders built in any settlement. Wow. And then adjusted text to accurately reflect the gold. Okay, and then moved to the Missile System Civic Mastery. Wow. That's one that will get rushed. I can almost guarantee you. That's a very, very good wonder, in my opinion. All right, the Humunga Almaui changed placement restrictions to allow any biome. That will be nice. The Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Still can't believe that's only in a DLC, but you know, that's how it is. Added a base yield of 3 production. Great. Increase the cost. Okay, that is a significant increase for a 3 production. That makes sense. And then move to the ironworking tech. Okay. They did buff it pretty substantially, but you know, they balance it out with that production. So, or with the amount of time it takes, obviously, to build it. So, okay. The Mundo Perdido changed the effect to +1 science on improvements and +1 happiness on districts and topical terrains in this settlement. Okay, that seems like a good one. And then, again, they balanced it with how much time it takes. And moved to the Code of Law Civic Mastery. Then we have the Oracle, increase the bonus culture from narrative events from 10 to 20 per age. Still don't think I'll use it, but that's good. Added 1 wildcard attribute point. Okay. All right, even players are eating. I like that. We have plans in the works for this wonder, so stay tuned. Okay. There we go. There we go. Right freaking there. You know what this means? Religion. Religion is going to be getting changed. I'm just telling you, in some way, shape, or form, I think, yeah, it's got to be religion, right? Like, okay, now they're cooking. You see these hands. You see these hands. Just wanted to make sure you guys could see them. I don't know how exactly far to go up, but this is good. Like, this is a smaller patch. I understand that, but like these little tidbits that they are leaving, these breadcrumbs to lead us on a trail to what is coming next. I'm telling you, something big is coming in terms of religion, something big is coming in terms of diplomacy, and something big is coming in terms of age transitions. Count on it. Freaking count on it. All right, moving on. Petra, change the effect to +1 production on improvements and +1 gold on districts on desert terrain in this settlement. Pretty strong. I like that. The pyramids, finally, change the effect to +1 gold and production on improvements and districts in minor. Yes, and navigable rivers in this settlement. Love. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that it was only on navigable. The minor ones, I think I said this literally when we were talking about Egypt on the tier list. I feel like I said something about this. Maybe it was for Egypt, but that it needed to be minor rivers too. Love that. Change the placement restrictions to allow any biome except for tundra. That makes a ton of sense to me. The Sanchi Stupa changed cost for, okay, and then moved it. That's fine. In the Wei Ying Palace, moved to the Citizenship Civic Mastery. So moved it up, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong on that. Exploration, we got Borobudur, changed its ability to affect quarters in that settlement only. That's fine. We've already talked about the Erdene Zoo. Reduced culture, helped, allow you to put it in more places, which is good, but they also decreased the production. They're just making it a lesser wonder, if you want to call it that. Forbidden City increased, so that's where I guess the culture is going, funny enough. I know it's different, but still. It reduced culture and gold on fortifications from 2 to 1, but it now applies to all settlements. Well, that's still crazy strong. Forbidden City got very, very, very much stronger, and one that I think is another one of those ones that you should just kind of key in to just put in regardless of what you're doing. Obviously, it's better for if you're trying to run a cultural victory legacy path, but like that goal is still very nice. So, yeah. Don't feel bad about that one. Very cool. The Hale Kiawe changed constructing a building on coast terrains, grants culture equal to 50% of this cost to +1 culture on water buildings. They are doing a lot of the percentage changes to just base level, numbers, and I'm okay with that, but it is interesting. I wonder why. I wonder what they are seeing that's causing them to take out so many of these percentage changes on a lot of things. I don't know. It's just something I've noticed over a lot of these patch notes. House of Wisdom reduced the number of relics granted from 3 to 1. That's probably, like I said, it was very strong. It was one you kind of had to run if this is what you were going for. It just made it too much of a rush. I still think 1 is not great. It feels like they could have added a little bit more to it, but that's fine. Machu Picchu. Wait, why is this spelled with the Pikachu? Am I wrong? Maybe I feel like I've always seen it differently. Oh, brain's playing some tricks on me, but whatever. Remove the +2 resource capacity in this settlement. Change it to +4 culture and gold on all buildings adjacent to this wonder. Buildings gain +1 culture and gold adjacency for mountains in general, and they allow it on the grassland biome. Okay. This one's interesting. I would almost call this a buff. Yeah, you could almost call this a buff. Depending on how many mountains you're around, which would be a lot, most likely, if you're running this, that could be very, very good. Okay, a couple modern age wonders changed, and then we're moving on to some civ balance changes. So the Budhanath, increased base influence shield from 4 to 6, really strong, allows for grassland biomes, good as well. Brandenburg Gate changed. This settlement suffers no happiness penalties from war weariness, +5 happiness at conquered settlements to +1 war support on all wars and +1 settlement limit. I actually like the other one better. This feels like a nerf. Feels like a nerf to me, but okay. Eiffel Tower, yep, we knew it increased happiness and culture on quarters. That's good. Hermitage. Changed the +10% culture in cities that have a great work on display to +5 culture in cities that have a great work in display. Again, no more percentages, just straight culture. Interesting. Okay. The Muzibu Azala Impanga. Sorry, I've never really known how to say that one, but that's fine. Change +2 food. I don't know that I've said it out loud. I think that's really more. I see it in my head. I've seen it. I just haven't said it out loud. Makes sense, I guess. Changed +2 food on all lake tiles. +2 culture and happiness on lake tiles in this settlement to +4 culture and food on improvements and districts on lake tiles. Seems like a buff to me. All right, the Palacio de Bellas Artes removed plus 10% happiness in the city to increase happiness from great works from 2 to 3. Very good. And added gain 1 artifact. Okay, I think, again, buff there, in my opinion. Pretty nice buff. And then the Red Fort added 4 production to the base yield. That's a nice buff as well. So, look, a lot of these feel pretty good. Good changes, good moving. Some of them, it feels like kind of inconsequential, not very substantive changes. But for the most part, a lot of those, I think, were pretty good. They nerfed a few wonders. But I think there are going to be a few more of these that we just talked about that are going to have to get nerfs. I'm trying to think which one. Like, Forbidden City, I think, almost assuredly will have some changes coming to it here in the future. So, use that while you can. Alright, Leaders and Civs, it's just Himiko, High Shaman. Ability now properly applies to these buildings. So, cool. Just a little bug there. UI, reported issue where you could not see all Leaders in the Diplomacy menu when playing on 1280, 720. Can't say I've seen that or have a problem with it. Civilopedia stuff, it's fine. They're just correcting information. Controller players are resolving multiple controller prompt issues. That seems good. Left and right trigger no longer breaks scrolling and pop-up boxes. They're learning a lot, I think, about all the issues that could happen on a console. And I will say, for you console players, this is probably really nice. They no longer display a question mark placeholder when opening the pause menu. Okay. L2, R2 inputs now swap between settlements instead of zooming after editing a settlement name. That seems like a weird bug. UI and functionality issues no longer occur when opening the civic trees via controller after completing a civic. Okay, add support button retains functionality when switching from the befriend progress bar to the leader screen. Dude, these are such specific bugs that you guys are having to deal with. I apologize. Good lord. The non-functioned LB/RB button prompts present when disabling all legacy path in the age menu. Okay. The promotion menu can now be closed when pressing the back button. That seems important. The camera can now move after placement of any settlement and advanced start. Also seems important, although I really don't know many people who are going advanced starts. If you guys are, freaking awesome. I love it. I just know I'm not one of those people. I always start in Antiquity, and except for early on when I was testing out the different age transition stuff. The attributes tutorial can now be minimized when the player triggers attributes in the leader attribute menu. Okay. General. Added artwork to the next turn button in multiplayer. Was there no artwork there? Or maybe it's new. I don't know. Improved resolution of leader portraits when viewing the victory or defeat screen. Assyria now has a unique loading screen art when loading the game in Antiquity. So did it not? Gosh, guys, I don't remember. Okay, a gray square can no longer be seen behind the arrow button when reviewing or when viewing it near leader ribbons. Addressed a reported issue where the distant land treasure resources could display as homeland treasure resources when viewed in the trade lens. Seems like a small bug, but that's fine. Players can now return to the main menu when using the mouse right-click in the multiplayer menu. Okay. Addressed a reported issue where selecting the gross city notification after a force end turn could cause a crash. God, again, these seem like very specific things, but okay. The relationships agendas tutorial will no longer trigger out of order. Okay, tutorial turns now appear after closing the production panel when enabling production panel stays open, and then the establish airbase and rebase aircraft action is now canceled when selecting any other units tile. Text changes, you guys can read those. It's just text changes, it's fine. Tooltips, yield icons are no longer too big when viewing a tile with more than 5 single type yields in the map. The correct text is now presented when currently producing tooltip. Okay. Adjusted the constructed wonder. Okay, nothing crazy there. And then this is just a bunch of narrative stuff. Looks like it's not like they're really updating anything. These are just... okay, here's one, though. The second option now awards +2 happiness on the armor for the sheath of arrows. Audio, address some different issues, and quality of life improvements. Okay, cool. look, you guys can go in if you want to read those ones specifically. Some of them I think are just a little too specific, and honestly, like, they're little text changes that a lot of us don't really even notice, but they occasionally do, or they occasionally get a report, which is great. I'm glad that they are changing all of those things. I really, truly mean that. I'm not just saying that. I am very happy about it. But look, this is a smaller patch. We knew it was. It still took me 30 minutes to get through instead of 45 at least, so that's good. But I think that there's just a lot that they're setting up, right? These little dev notes that they are putting in here, where they are aware of the continuity settings and these different issues, where they talk about wherever the heck. Where is this? The Oracle one, right? Where we have plans in the works for this wonder, so stay tuned. Like, I think it's Carl, right, who, like, said it on the video yesterday. I couldn't remember if it's him, but I'm pretty sure it was him in the video. Like, they have big stuff coming. We've been really patient with them. I'm still really hoping that the next DLC, like the actual true expansion pack that we get, isn't going to be $60. I still think it might. Please don't kill me. I could see it maybe going down to 50, but I think it's going to be pretty expensive. I think there's going to be a lot of leaders. I think there's going to be a lot of big changes to the game, and I think, we're just going to have to accept it. Either you wait for it to go on sale or not. But regardless, like, this update is solid. It helps Wonder players. I have personally felt like Wonders have needed some changes for some time now. A good number, oh gosh, sorry, hit my mic. A good number of them are getting changes, and I think that they are pretty good changes overall. They talked about the map stuff. I don't really think I saw this in here, like, unless if I'm stupid. Now I'm thinking about this. They talked about, like, map changes, and I'm not seeing them in here. Huh. Was that something he talked about? I think they took him out. Because he didn't really say anything about it yesterday either, as I was thinking about this. Like, they talked about there being, like, some new, oh my gosh, I can't remember the wording for it, but basically when the maps are being made, right? Like, that there were going to be changes to that, but they didn't put that in here. I wonder if they pushed it back for some reason. Huh. Or maybe I'm just delirious and wrong. I've been up the last few nights covering other games, so I've been tired. Deadlock and Pokemon decided to release stuff after work hours the last 2 nights, so maybe I'm just sleep deprived. But I feel like I remember him saying something about that. Let me know what if you guys remember that in the comments. But look, they're even saying this right here. As we work towards some larger changes and new features, this update focuses on steady improvements. That's what's coming. This is fine. Nice little changes here. Nothing of substance really to me other than the wonder changes. So, sorry if you were hoping for a bigger update right now, but I really do believe sometime in the next week, maybe 2 weeks or so, we will get the roadmap update that I think we've all been waiting for. We know what's coming in September, but what's going to be coming in October? They got to get us pumped for it. I know I'm excited just because I have feelings of what I think is going to be getting added, but we will have to see. Let me know what you guys think. As always, we appreciate the love and support that you guys have for us. Make sure that if you guys want to be a member, you can hit that join button down there. Shout out to Jacobiened for being a member and a part of this community in such a substantial way. We really do love and appreciate you guys. You're fantastic. It's been so much fun so far. I can't really wait until we get even more awesome updates coming out here very, very soon. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So, from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we hope you'll join us for one more turn.